What does it mean to be a good gamer? I'm sure the immediate reaction of most people is to equate it to technical skill, to pursue great gaming feats all in the name of getting carpal tunnel before the age of 25, to complete Herculean gaming feats that would break the soul of any normal person. And while that is valid, I would contend that there is a different definition. See, being a gamer is just a signifier that you're a membership of any community, just like calling yourself an artist, a rock climber, a vor enthusiast. It's just community. Claiming that title shows you are part of a group, expressing and sharing their love for a particular thing, all in hopes to build a healthy, thriving community around it. As such, I think being a good gamer is much more spiritual, if you will. Fostering healthy interactions, engaging in goodwill around the community, encouraging growth and individuality. To be a good gamer, I think, just means to be truly a good person. It's about doing what's best for the metaphysical concept of video games themselves, about living truly selfishly in the name of fostering the best community we possibly can. So what about the people who don't do that? Drinking this mixture of caprisun and rosé gives me the judgmental sarcasm of a critical wine mom, while also the frightened observational skills of her ignored child. And just as the nature of being a gamer is much more spiritual, so are the nature of the sins. They are not simple one-dimensional acts, such as playing games on easy mode or playing a horror game with the brightness turned all the way up. They're much more metaphysical in nature. They're a poison that distorts the entire realm of the gaming experience, both for everybody else and the sinner themselves. Personally, I think these are quite important for everybody to take into account if they care about reality, beauty, and self-actualization, and not brain damage and sexism. One of my toxic traits is that I love watching people self-destruct under the weight of their own dumbass belief systems. Gamers, for some reason, who have to set every single game they play on the hardest difficulty and then call a game bullshit is just music to my ears. Take this incredible clip of Asmongold playing Prince of Persia on the hardest difficulty after he said he just wanted to have a chill time.
Actually, like, I literally should just delete. I fucking hate myself, bro. Like, I actually literally hate myself. I'm like I should never die in this. Like, I'm fuck! Oh my god, bro, I'm getting so mad.
That's the first boss, by the way. He quit after a half an hour of trying and never went back. Super fun. Fuck! Gamer pride largely manifests itself in ontological terms. A sense of superiority derived from the belief that you, the specialist little boy, understand the true nature of games and how they must be engaged with, or what qualifies as a real game. Gatekeeping. You're actively sinning against yourself, depriving yourself of meaningful experiences. You're doing this both in the way of keeping yourself from playing games in a way that you would objectively enjoy more, ways that are perfectly valid because developers added them into the game, but also depriving yourself of entire experiences that you would absolutely love and adore if you didn't have a little bitch whispering in your ear about them. It's this mindless regurgitation of the ideology that gamers play games because they're gamers, when people play games because they're people. We've been playing games of all styles and difficulties for our entire human history. That's part of what makes us human. The Talos Principle is an entire fucking game about this. Play the goddamn Talos Principle, please. These artificial divides of valid ways to engage with something not only poison your mind to properly judging in experiences, but also isolate you in an echo chamber of other tainted, brain-damaged people who don't even want to try playing games in the first place. The whole point of having a community is to get more people into that community. That's how community works. Everybody and what they play are valid and equal. except for people who do gambling. You people can kill. The gamer dad with 15 kids and 30 minutes to play a week is just as valid as the gooner who plays 60 hours a week of hentai games, who is also valid as the 31-year-old autistic bisexual who has devoted way too much time over the past week playing Dragon Age Veilguard to just be disappointed. More expressions and perspectives melding and mixing into groups and subcultures makes discussion as well as created games themselves objectively better. So many people are basically frozen in time, stuck in an idealized version of the past that of course did not actually exist, like those weird losers who somehow think the olden days were good. Actually, shout out to women not being able to open a bank account on their own until the 1960s. Real shit. This is a real, actual, highly upvoted meme on Reddit, trying to herald games like BioShock, Deus Ex, Fallout, and Mass Effect as somehow the antithesis of political, while trying to argue that newer games do not have the same nuance and are bad. People love to say that like all modern games are bad or whatever, and conveniently ignore the mountains of smaller developers and studios pushing the boundary literally just so they can keep complaining. We've gotten some of the best games ever made over the past 10 years, and the quantity and diversity of gamers and unparalleled access to resources and technology that people conveniently want to ignore when talking about this. Anybody can just make a game and then end up at the Game Awards. Fucking incredible. Shout out Balatro. As long as everybody's having fun and not being a weird loser, who cares? Play that game on easy mode. Turn your brightness all the way up for that horror game. Spend all of your money rolling for your digital waifus. That is your prerogative, but you can't tell anybody else what to do. Especially if all you do is monitor tentpole releases and complain about them while conveniently ignoring all of the indie games out there that are amazing. Just use Google, you complete moron. I have stopped dating people for them being picky eaters. I absolutely love going to restaurants and making new food, trying new things. Variety is the spice of life, as they say. And people who carry all these weird preconceptions or just an undesire to live adventurously is something that I do not vibe with and do not want in my life. Look at this bird. It's trapped in a little cage. It could leave at literally any time, but it doesn't. Because it's stupid. People who are picky eaters are this bird. Gamers who complain that there are no good games anymore are this bird. They are trapped in a cage they have made for themselves. The gluttonous endure a never-ending hunger for games that cannot be satisfied because they are picky babies. Gluttony is not just about quantity, but specificity. It's an impossible curse that will keep you forever desiring more and more and more games, not out of love for a continually expanding realm of experiences that games have to offer, but because you are blindly hamstringing yourself because almost none can fit the fantasized, unrealistic expectations that you've created. Some people will disavow entire genres or mechanics, like they don't like turn-based games, they don't like card games, they don't like horror games. But the most extreme version of this are many of those weird anti-woke lists, the DEI watch list type beats. For the uninitiated, this is basically the gamer version of Germany's banned book lists in World War II. They inform people not to buy or interact with certain games that might be, quote, tainting our culture. I'm sure that language is, you know, perfectly fine and normal. Very, very, very normal. I won't harp on this forever, but I need to just call out some of my personal favorites here. Heart Space Shipbreaker, a really neat puzzle game, is not advised because it is anti-capitalism and pro-union. SteamWorld Heist, a steampunk fantasy game where you play as robots, is given informational cautious because one of the characters in a DLC might use they them pronouns. Wobble Dogs, a game where you literally do eugenics in a beautiful, colorful dog world, is advised because the dogs don't have assigned genders. And lastly, the Talos principle is recommended. It's fine. It's perfectly good. It's not woke. But you know how I know they haven't actually played or understood this game? Is because this entire game is a bit of a warning for climate change because humanity died. And I know they care about climate change because it's listed in other games like Civ 6. I don't know what's going on here, and they don't either. If the fact that the colorful eugenics dog game does not have gender roles is enough to make you question whether or not you should play it, you need to take a long, hard look at your life because clearly eugenics is not on your side, brother. People have no respect for wobble dog culture. The dogs presumably have no concept of gender because their version of sex is completely different from ours. Like they're an entirely separate peoples that have very little relation to our society. And yet the ignorant, gross people who make these lists have zero respect for that at all. This is purely about colonialism, wanting to force gender roles upon them, to erase their culture and transform them into something new. This is literally just like what happened with the Native Americans. What I find so fascinating about the various anti-woke lists and other declarations of cultural impurity is that it is the perfect embodiment of greed. Not just the gluttonous belief that, ooh, this picky thing isn't for me, but that you need it to be for you, that all these things are signifiers that they should be for you within your moral view, or else they are objectively bad. Giving wobble dogs genders can be seen as a just act for the good of all gamer kind. Wishing a game was different in some way is completely valid. I want to like Star Rail so incredibly bad, but I hate the gacha system. I wish the character styling of Dragon Age Veilguard didn't make everybody look like tall children. I wish Metaphor ReFantazio would let me romance everybody, but I can't. And I'm not 12, so I just move on. Many people make declarations that things require change in the name of stewardship, that it's about maintaining some form of quality and integrity, for craftsmanship, for the artistry, for the experience. Most people don't say these things because they want games to be better for everybody. They just want games to be better for themselves. Most of the time it isn't even about the game. It's about what the game signifies, which is why half of them don't even play the games that they talk about. Some people just want all games to be for them even if they don't give two shits about the game. It's about what the game represents, which is not them. And we can't have that. That's why if you look through the recommendations of a lot of the extremely cringe lists, you will see recommendations of games based off the fact that the characters are gorgeous waifus, even if the game itself is trash, and recommendations against some games purely because they have pronouns or a blanket boogeyman, even if the game isn't even out yet. How many people have actually played Wobble Dogs? I've played Wobble Dogs. That's why I think I can speak as a cultural expert on the matter. Honestly, the sheer brain rot to just mindlessly bandwagon off of the culture war for a specific game when you probably don't even want to play it is genuinely sinful behavior. This goes beyond just greed though, because when the brain rot is extended to you wanting to mindlessly bandwagon on a larger opinion on a game that you probably don't even want to play, that isn't greed. That is lust. This is actually my second glass. I slammed the last one and refilled it when I took a break to change laundry. Internet slop is something that's really being talked about a lot recently. It's a bunch of shallow, empty, low effort content that really just kind of exists to generate ad revenue. We don't do that here on Crimes New Roman. That's why my content rarely comes out. If I have something to talk about, I will talk about it. If I don't, you won't hear from me. I literally don't care about putting something out unless I want to do it. I value the integrity and the quality of my work and the thought that I put into what I'm trying to do on this channel, whatever the fuck that might be. I want to take time with how I talk about something. I want to be informed, and I want to cultivate an audience who not only expects the same thing of me, but of themselves, and can engage with my content either critically or agreeably in ways that work for both of us. If I am going to put definitive review-like opinions of a video game on the internet, it is because I have played that thing in its entirety. But there are so many unlike me, and yes, I am implying that they are worse, thank you very much, who do not do that. I rolled credits on Dragon Age Veilguard recently after 45 hours, and I was looking for other content about it, and I stumbled upon a 30-minute video by the Act Man. I found the video to be largely underwhelming and very vague, essentially just bandwagoning on everything else, but he slipped this in at the end, which I didn't see anybody else bring up in the comments.
I don't like any of the companions I met so far, and my ability to play a role in this game has been completely severed. Even though I didn't play Veilguard much, I don't need to.
Did you catch that? The audacity. This is fucking everywhere, dude. People who do not even engage with the games that they speak with so much authority on, clawing lustfully in a desire to get views and to make content purely to be the one with the big gamer opinion, to the point that they are literally gouging their own eyes out at the cost of their own integrity. There's no love for games, no love for RPGs, no love for Dragon Age as a series to be found within this video. There's only a blind desire for glory and virtue signaling based off of what the game represents. I have a full-ass 9-to-5 job. I am a graphic designer and an art director. You can tell because my videos have such tremendous quality, and the absolute audacity of these people whose job it is to play video games and talk about them on the internet, to not play games and then talk about them with authority is shameful, lustful. I looked through the video and tried to keep track of what clips were his specific character, because a lot of clips are, you know, just the same ones pulled that people like to complain about. And the furthest that I think I saw him get was the beginning of Arlithan Forest, which is just after the intro of the game. That's relevant because earlier in the video, he says this about companions.
Instead of going through the process of meeting and recruiting your companions, you know, like how meeting people in real life normally works, instead they're just given to you. Your character, the Rook, has already met these three, but I haven't. I'm the one playing this game. So there's a disconnect between me, my player character, and my companions, because my character met these people off screen.
First of all, you do go out and recruit people. That's the entire first act of the game and how you get the other 5 companions. You just start off with Varric and Neve and Harding because it's the beginning of the game. People you don't know are always at the beginning of the game with you. In Inquisition, we had Solus and Cassandra, and a lot of people didn't play Dragon Age 2, so they were probably like, who the fuck is this hottie? There's gonna be some small Veilguard spoilers, so I'm just gonna give people a second to move ahead to the time code, but trust me, you are not missing anything. You're not missing anything here. Okay, that's enough time. Varric is not a companion outside of the introduction. The Act-Man only seems to have specific examples and clips that he shows of his character from the intro of the game. Nothing of the sort in regards to anything past the first maybe 4 or 5 hours of the game, including things he points out that are wrong about companions, leads me to believe that he didn't even bother to get past the introduction. Like, genuinely the most bare minimum amount of effort was put into this video.
The cringe. Right. Oh, the cringe. Oh, wow, that's Lucanus. Wow, he's the mage killer. Whoa. But Lara, the veil jumper? Well, how cool.
So much gaming content like this is out there. It is pure virtue signaling for the point of self-gratification, a blind desire to reach glory in the name of views and ad revenue, regardless of any excellence or integrity that might go into your craft. I mean, these people are too lazy to even form their own dog shit opinions. They just have to keep trading around the same ones endlessly. It's exhausting. I have so many of my own dog shit opinions that I've formed by actually engaging with the world. You want to hear some of them? I don't like Veilguard either, but I've played the whole fucking game and I can be way more articulate about it, which I'm probably going to in the future. I thought Arcane Season 2 was pretty mid and a downgrade from the first season outside of the visuals. Jobless Reincarnation is one of the worst anime ever made. Hellblade 2 is one of the best games of the year. Fuck you. The only bitch I got whispering in my ear is me, and that motherfucker has media literacy. And speaking of media literacy, so Elon Musk is starting an AI-powered game studio to make gaming great again, because billionaire-owned corporations are ruining games, so naturally he's going to solve it with another billionaire-owned corporation. Love it. Extremely excited for it to do absolutely nothing. Like disgraced Blizzard employee and Firefall developer Mark Kern's game studio working on whatever the fuck this is for 8 years has done absolutely nothing too. Awesome. If you want a good look into Ember, I think that's how it is pronounced, look at this guy's video, because he's been a consistent follower and engager with the game for quite a long time. Really good video here, and I want to play this specific section because it is particularly on point.
Get off Twitter. Stop with this anti-woke crusade and just focus on the game. If you want to prove everyone is wrong, then be quiet, hunker down, and make what you keep telling the world you're going to make. You've posted far more on Twitter in the past 24 hours than you have all of April on your 0 Days channel in Discord. There's 24 days into April right now. You have an opportunity to prove everyone wrong about you and Firefall, but when the project is getting close to 10 years old, you're just further validating what people say and believe about you, regardless of if it's true or not.
People who want to make games with the mindset of Elon and Mark are not about making games for the sake of the love of games. They're about wanting to course correct a ship while having no idea how navigation works. Envy is the belief that the blessings of somebody else directly lessen your own. Just like how a toddler would be jealous that his younger brother got his first toy when he already has 12. People who share the same mindset as Mark feel slighted in the fact that games are not this homogeneous mass of representation that they once were, that literally any piece of newfangled DEI representation could appeal to someone that is not him, and that really drives him into a frenzy. These brainworms have consumed so much of his brain that even looking at the entirely naked, bodacious bod of the goddess of love Aphrodite from Hades, ass and titties just out there. Mark thinks that she's trans because she has more predominant cheekbones, which definitely isn't a popular and desired trait. amongst female beauty or anything like that, and also isn't wearing makeup, those things are somehow bad. Those are the only two differences between the images, by the way. Like, that's it. Oh, and remember that game that Mark is working on? Don't you worry. He's gonna bring us some real women like fucking this. I'm pretty sure I need to like censor this, because like her nips are just fucking rock hard. Like, good lord. But what's this I see? Is that a hint, perhaps, of a cheekbone? Mark, are you putting trans in your game, Mark? Look, if people want to waste their time photoshopping hot, naked video game women and making objectively terrible looking games, let them cook. Let them cook. It's a terrible mindset to have that will only make you and whatever you want to make worse, but everybody can go on with their lives making fun of you and being fulfilled in their own endeavors. However, the danger is when envy turns to wrath, because then you go from cringe to a problem. For people who have normal internet viewing habits, they probably wouldn't know that when Spider-Man 2 came out, a lot of people were quite angry at the fact that the characters looked different. Specifically, Mary Jane. You see, they were angry because they don't understand the concept of time. There was a 5-year gap between the first and the second game, and naturally things like lighting, modeling, and rigging technology will get better, and thus characters will look more realistic. Observe comments like, "She looks like a trans woman now. Literally more square-faced and strong-jawed than Peter." While comments like these are cringe and amusing that they out themselves so easily about more or less only being attracted to women who look like children and have no control over their own emotions, the problem where it turns into wrath is when these losers harass the face model to the point that she quits the industry. She posted a note on her Instagram a good while ago that gamers were calling her workplace, left threatening voicemails, effectively bullying this person over the fact that their brain has been filled with so many worms that they've lost all ability to jerk off to anything that doesn't resemble a child. This is far from an isolated incident, of course. There are countless acts recorded of gamers taking out their own inability to comprehend reality on other people, from Gamergate's Anita Sarkeesian to the whole Sweet Baby Inc. debacle of harassing their employees, to the Spider-Man woman, to quite simply everyday acts of wrath taken upon their fellow gamers. The ADL has a fantastic new study that outlines how over 65% of online gamers face threats, stalking, and severe harassment. From plain old stalking to threats of physical violence to over half reported to being targeted based off of things like race, religion, gender, orientation, and ethnicity, ability, you name it, really. Gamers love diversity when it comes to harassment, that's for sure. Nearly 30% recorded being doxxed as well, by the way. That's really fucking sick. This is the antithesis of what we should be doing as a community. We should be helping and supporting people who might not be very good or might not understand what's going on with acts of kindness, with informing them, with instructing them. Some game communities are just so fucking bad at that. Shout out, by the way, to the Guild Wars 2 community, which honestly has some of the like friendliest, chillest people I've ever fucking met. And look, I'm not gonna pretend that I'm completely above being one of those very spiteful Neanderthals. Back in my heyday, late teens, I was one of those assholes who was mean on League of Legends. I would complain about the jungler being dog shit. Back when I played World of Warcraft, I was the tank. I would complain about healers being dog shit. I was a very troubled young person. But I found my passions. I discovered things about myself. I got out of my shitty home life. I fucked a dude. things got better. I was playing games for the wrong reasons, but I reflected and I changed, and I've been repenting ever since. And I like to think that part of this speaking out upon this dog shit culture is part of that repentance, because we can all change. We can all learn and do better. I was playing games for the wrong reasons, and I figured that out, and I'm so much happier now. But unfortunately, and that brings us to our last sin, not everybody does that. Fun fact about sloth is that it's defined as a culpable lack of physical or spiritual effort, and as such, the act of busyness can be regarded as a form of sloth. A preoccupation of oneself with frivolous and misguided endeavors is a means of avoiding real inner reflection. Everything that I previously mentioned, from harassment to self-sabotage to embarrassing lack of integrity in the content you might be creating, can be resolved if people just take 2 seconds to just stop and think. Let's try this. Let's have a little bit of meditation. Get some nice music on. Think, okay. Ready? Inhale. Repeat after me. I don't need to harass people online. Breathe out. Good. Breathe in. I don't need to only play games on the hardest difficulty and be mean to people who don't do that. Exhale. One more time. Breathe in. I don't need to make an angry ranting video every single day about video games that I don't even care about, strictly to make ad revenue and fuel a ridiculous culture war. And breathe out. Doesn't that feel nice? Doesn't that feel better? Oh my goodness, we're getting along so well today. I love video games. They are an important, underappreciated art form that deserves to be protected and fostered so they can continually grow. There are absolutely bad actors and dog shit companies and practices that are ruining and making them worse. And the only way that we can amend that is by voting with our fucking wallets. And so many of these behaviors are the exact opposite of that. If you don't want to see a game with stuff you don't like, even if it's the weird woke stuff, just don't buy the game. Don't buy the game and then play it and then be angry. Like, they have your money. They win. It doesn't matter if you like the game. You gave them your dollary dues. I was terrified of Veilguard. I didn't want to buy it, or at least not at full price. So thankfully, one of my friends in my Steam library has way less self-control than I do. So I just played on his copy. You should play that game that you might think you might not like. You might absolutely fucking love it. I've never been a big sports racing guy, but I tried Trials Fusion and that shit's so much goddamn fun. It literally doesn't matter what anybody else does with their fucking time. As long as they're not being weird assholes to somebody else, or making weird cultural statements that actively try to reduce the representation of people. Who fucking cares? Move on, brother. I want gaming spaces to be better for literally everybody, because I want more shit like fucking Outer Wilds and Disco Elysium and Hades and Mouthwashing and Signalis and all these insane, beautiful, weird fucking games to be made, because there's so much beauty and talent and care put into it. And if any of these fucking losers ever actually got claws into the gaming industry, none of that would happen. And I also want you, dear viewer, to live a more enriching life, to engage in experiences that you may not have even realized you needed, that could be valuable and helpful to unlocking things about your personality that you didn't know. Crack that egg, okay? Fucking crack that shit open. I've had some of my most treasured social and artistic experiences generated through the world of games, and I want that to permeate for literally everybody else, because I wouldn't be where the fuck I am today without some incredible games facilitating growth in me in a wide variety of ways, and I want everybody else to have that opportunity as well. Play the Talos principle.